All right. Hello. Happy Wednesday. I just stabbed myself in the thumb with a pen. Anyways, uh, I don't really have a whole lot to say, and I'm just gonna be a sponge and write everything down and listen to what Krystal has for us, whether it's a lot or a little. I'll take whatever she will give us on how the heck she's been just on fire and enrolling like crazy, both promoters and customers. So proud of you. Like, every day you're popping off, and I'm like, I need to like go touch her or something. Like, give me some of that. I really want to fly to you right now. I'm just saying. But Krystal, I'm going to turn it over to you and just walk us through what you've been doing. Even if you want to go like as far into as how your conversations have been looking for closing, because I know some girls, at least under me, that's kind of where, even me personally too, where I've also been struggling with the closing. So wherever you want to start, I'm just going to shut up and you take over, my dear.
Okay, so I feel like I'm back in high school and I'm like speaking in front of the class right now. I know almost every single one of you, but I'm sweating. I'm so nervous. So, okay, I want to preface everything I'm about to say that by saying everything that I am going to tell you guys that's been working for me is something that I'm still actively working on. It's not something I've like just mastered and figured out, but it has been, these are a few things I've been implementing myself that I have clearly been seeing change with. So, and I mean, there's going to be times where things are slower and there's going to be times where things are busier, but I have made a little bit of a shift. So I'll share those things with you guys right now. So I want to kind of give you guys a little bit of a backstory, and I promise it'll tie into everything that I'm going to say. So I think I know everyone on here, but if you don't know me, my name is Krystal, obviously, and I am I've been thriving since early December of 2021. And I have been promoting Thrive since April of 2022. So about 5 months into using the product, I decided to monetize it and really just talk about it because I love the products and I believe in them. And a big part of that is because I did the Ultimate Thriver last year and had great success with that, even though I wasn't a finalist, I wasn't a winner, but it was the very first time in my entire life that I physically saw transformation in my physical appearance. And, thank you. So I am someone who's always struggled with my weight and my health. And so that's a little bit of a backstory. So I don't even think Shelby or Sarah know this or any of you guys, but I'm going to be honest and tell you guys, I almost gave up on this business a couple months ago. So I truly almost walked away because I was in a rut. I was not seeing growth or progress. And basically, I came to a fork in a road and I had to choose the hard path or the easy one. The easy one being, do I want to walk away and just like let go of this and move on with my life? Like it was a good experience, whatever. Or do I want to fight for what I first joined this business for? Like I had a goal in mind when I first joined. And do I want to change a couple of things around and fight for that? So after some deep conversations with Ryan and all of that, I kind of thought to myself, if I can fight hard to find success in my health journey, which I have, I'm still working on it, but I've found success. I need to fight hard to find success in my business because I mean, truly, like I'm a stay-at-home mom. I'm married. I've been with my husband for in a couple months, it'll be 10 years. Like I want, I'm going through the motions. I want to do more than go through the motions. So anyways, I'm gonna try not to ramble for too long. I'm really good at getting off topic. So I have notes. Just hold on one second.
I'm loving this. Oh, you're doing awesome.
Okay, good. So there are a few things that I wanted to list out for you guys that after that really hard month where I was like thinking about just letting go of this business, what are some things that I have been doing that maybe I was doing a little bit of before, but I actively like really started implementing into my daily business routine. So, one, I think it's super important to have self-evaluation. Like, you need to be able to take a step back and evaluate what you're doing. Like, get real with yourself, get honest with yourself, call yourself out. Like, this is something I had to do. And like I said, I gave you guys the backstory of my weight loss journey because it really does tie. It's so crazy. When I started really thinking about things, I was like, oh my gosh, like everything I went through my health journey, I am now, hold on, let me mute that. Everything that I have been going through my health journey the last year, little over a year, is I'm like starting back at the start line in my business, but I'm noticing I need to go through the same process almost. It's so crazy because when I was first starting my health weight loss journey, I was okay, I have adrenal fatigue. I was telling people I can't lose weight because my adrenal fatigue makes it to where my metabolism's so slow, it's basically not there. And that is true. But that wasn't the reason why I wasn't losing weight or was continuing to gain weight. The reason why I was doing that is because I was sitting on the couch all the time and eating fast food and binging every day. And, like I had to get real with myself and understand that it was my choices and me actively, doing things that caused me to get to where I was. So don't be afraid to just like self-evaluate. I think it's so important. I think it's like something we need to actively do in every aspect of our lives, but like not just once as you grow through this, through this business. So I also, this is something that Shelby mentioned on a call way back in the summertime. And it just really stuck with me because it was something that helped me in that moment. And I kind of lost sight of that. And now I'm back to it. So that was, I think, it's important to see the big picture, the long-term goal. So for that, a lot of us, that is reaching 200K and making monthly what people usually make in a year and like all this success. And we want to, speak on stage at conference and all of the things. But that's not necessarily realistic right now. If you're just starting out, like you can have that long-term goal and vision, but it's so important to focus on the small goals, the ones that are absolutely achievable, like the ones that, for instance, you could start by just saying, I want to thrive for free. And then you're going to get there. And when you get there, you can say, okay, now I just want to make enough to put $50 a month into my kids' savings account. And then once you get there, you'll be like, okay, now I just want to be able to pay for my groceries instead of my husband's paychecks paying for groceries. And then you're going to get there. And then before you know it, you're going to look back and see all of these little goals that you've hit. And it's going to be one big freaking accomplishment. And so once again, tying that to my weight loss, I have whatever 65 pounds to lose, but I wasn't like, I need to lose, because I've done that before. I've been like, I need to lose this much weight. And then when I don't lose that weight in 3 weeks, I give up and I start from scratch, So I focused on 10 pounds at a time. And every time I hit that 10-pound mark, I would celebrate. And now look, I've lost 10 pounds 5 times. So it's like, wow, oh my gosh, I've lost 50 pounds, but I was focusing on 10 pounds at a time. So I mean, just really try to keep that in mind because we're not all going to be 200K overnight. Like, and this is so not on my notes, but something that just came to my mind was one of the biggest influences in my health journey is a guy named Jordan Syatt. I talk about him all the time on my stories. You guys probably get sick of me saying his name, but I listened to his podcast and something he said was people overestimate what they can do in 1 year, but they underestimate what they can do in 5 years. That is so true. If you consistently stick to something for 5 years, you're going to be way further ahead than if you were to just boom, like I can do all this in 1 year. And then when you don't hit that goal, you give up, you go back to zero. And then 5 years down the road, you're probably worse off than you would have been if you just consistently made small strides towards your, does that make sense? So that was something that really stuck with me. And I just go back to that quote all the time because I love it. So, also something that there's going to be like two things that tie in together here, but consistency is key. I know that saying people just probably roll their eyes at me because we hear it all the time, but there is nothing that has been truer in my life. And consistency has to be met with patience. Like you have to be patient because you can be extremely consistent. I mean, this is a big reason why I was like questioning and I wanted to continue because I was like, I've been so consistent for, 7 months or 8 months or however long it has been. And then, but like nothing, but you have to be patient. I'm telling you guys, like people I started conversations with month 1 of this business, those are some of the booms you've seen this week because my consistency was met with patience with those people. And that kind of ties into what I'm going to say next. And I feel like this is almost the most important thing I'm going to touch on. I feel like I'm on my soapbox, you guys. I'm like, I got to get it all out right now to these people. So I started to add value beyond my pain points. So I think that pain points are obviously so important. Every single person on this call, their lives have changed in one way, shape, or form because of Thrive. And that could be your health or your financial situation, or even maybe this business put a friend into your life that you didn't even know you needed, but they are like one of your favorite people now. Like it could be anything, but Thrive has somehow changed your life. I guarantee it. And we need to capitalize on that. We need to make sure we let people know that for sure. Pain points, like 100%, such a genius, a genius tactic. When I came into this business, I was like, wow, that's amazing. But you need to add value in your conversations. You need to let people that know that you care to understand them and you care to listen to them and make it to where they don't feel like just a number or a paycheck or another sale. And that's where that kind of goes back to that patience thing and consistency. So just keep in mind that, I mean, it's kind of cool too, because a lot of people that I added them because I was doing my friend requests or whatever, and then I just started a conversation. They're some of my favorite people that I've met. I've never met them in person. They're my internet besties or whatever you want to call them. And then eventually, yeah, they do support you because you've built that trust with them and you've added value just like in your conversations. So I'll wrap it up by saying it's important to figure out pillars. I know a lot of people say 5 pillars. That can be overwhelming sometimes. Maybe you just start with 3. Like I do Thrive, obviously, is 1, my weight loss transformations and recipes. I'm constantly sharing what I'm eating and ingredient swaps or whatever. So just find like a handful of things that, and they don't even have to tie in with Thrive or health, wellness products or anything. Truly, you just don't want to only talk about Thrive because most likely the same handful of people are watching your stories every day. And if they open up your story every single time and they're just seeing the same picture of your shake with the same explanation, they're going to get bored and they probably will either stop watching your stories or they'll stop following you altogether. So yeah. And honestly, I just saw Sarah's comment about content, and I feel you. It took me so long, but I think what happened is that I just became super passionate because of the health, like weight loss journey that I was on about putting better ingredients into my body. And then it was like easy for me to talk about swaps I found or, continue sharing your transformation too. I know Sarah Weber's had an amazing transformation. Also, like, here's an example. I wrote this one down. How do you want to help? Okay, try not to focus so much on money. Like, how do you want to help others? What can you feel passionate about? So for me, a lot of people will come to me and say, oh my gosh, like, what are you doing to lose your weight or what? I've discovered a passion for just sharing any knowledge that I've learned. I do not know it all. And I always tell people, like, I don't know it all, but this is what's worked for me. And like, or someone will be like, okay, well, I'm eating this. Do you have a good swap for it? And I'll be like, oh, let me make you a list, because it truly excites me to help them figure these things out that might make their journey a little bit easier. So an example that I put down was, how do you want to help others? I know a lot of you have strong faith, and a lot of us do. And you can lean into that. You can find passion in helping others dive deep into their faith and like just feel more strongly about it, or find faith in general. Like, maybe they're not there yet, but they have, like, you can lean into that kind of stuff. It doesn't always have to be like transformation, weight loss. So I guess to to break it down, I'm kind of starting from the bottom of the list, but don't be so money focused. Make sure you find a way to serve others that's not just promising a fat bank account. Like, how can you add value to conversations and make them feel like you care to understand and listen to them. Don't only talk about thrive, find your pillars. Make sure consistency is met with patience. That's a huge one. That is like the biggest one for sure. Make sure you see the vision long term, but also find your small, like, short-term goals that are achievable, that you can hit. And don't be afraid to check yourself. Be real with yourself. Call yourself out. And, for example, the first few months that was leading up to me feeling super like, what am I doing? I was posting and praying a lot. I was making these really thought out pain point posts and talking on my stories about Lord knows what, story freak over here. But I wasn't creating conversations. And the only way that you can have follow-ups is if you have conversations going. So you need to start those conversations, stay consistent with them. And then, Sarah, you asked like an example of how I've closed a couple of my sales recently. There's a girl that started following me probably like a month ago, and she reached out to me about a recipe, I think. Her and I use that as a reason to start chatting with her, get to know her. I know her kids' names, and I know where she's from and where she moved to and all these things. And then she saw me talking about Thrive and was like, oh, I've tried Thrive. I loved it, but the patches kind of irritated my skin. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. Like, I know the patches are hit or miss with people. She's like, I love them. They just kind of bother my skin a little bit. I'm going to try to make this not a long story long. But what I'm getting to is, she mentioned she'd tried Thrive, but it sounded like it was maybe in the past. I didn't push it at first. I was like, just kind of feeling it out, just talking to her about the products and how awesome they were. And then she goes, I haven't used it since 2018, but I'm on the website looking and I might try to give it another shot. And so I'm not usually there. There's a fine line between pushy and bold, but you want to be bold sometimes. And so I specifically said, I'll try to screenshot it and drop it in the chat. But I said, well, in my head, I was thinking she hasn't used it since 2018. So she's not actively supporting anyone. And I was like, oh, well, hey, I was running a sale at the time, said, since you're thinking about trying it out again, and it's been so long, why don't you just take advantage of my sale? And that way you can get credits for your next month order. She was like, oh yeah, I'll do that. Boom, customer. Just because I just suggested that she takes advantage of my sale. So kind of like I scratch your back, you scratch mine kind of thing. And it was kind of it felt very natural. And so that was one example of a bold moment, but not like, and that's how I closed one of my sales. But like I said, I'm also getting people just from my consistency back then. I'm getting people from month one. I just think that it's really easy to fall off of the behind the scenes work. So like following new people and starting conversations, which I know a lot of people struggle with, but just make sure that if there's someone that you see that maybe is on the same journey as you, or maybe seems like a potential promoter that would do awesome, pay attention extra to their stuff and you'll find something. If there's someone that you're going to naturally vibe with, you will find something to talk about them with, or talk to, you know what I'm saying. Okay, so I've talked twice as long as I planned to. I'm going to stop now, but I hope that helps you guys. And like I said, I don't know it all. I'm still actively working at all of this, but this is the few things that I've changed that have really helped me.
Thank you so much. I wrote down like a full page of notes, just so you know, like, here you go. There you go. Full page of notes. I love it.
I can also drop something like a little breakdown in the chat too, if you guys want.
Yes. I want to use this time real quick. If anybody has any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask, especially if it's for Krystal, since she's doing so good right now. Or if you want her to go in deeper on something, whatever. I'm like loving all this though. I have you just lit a fire under me. I'm like, okay, I need to get ready tomorrow so I can get some content pictures done, and I got my cute office all set up now, and I'm like so pumped.
Yeah, Krystal, that was such really good reminders, because I've honestly been feeling like a little depleted, and you just like filled my cup up. So I appreciate you so much for hopping on and just kind of reminding us of the smaller goals, because like I said in the chat earlier about how I just have been feeling kind of defeated, and then I got my W-2s and I'm like, this would have been monumental when I first started. Like, I would have been shook completely if somebody would have told me I would have made that much in, just selling vitamins and doing an MLM. Like, that's nuts to me. And I look at it and I'm like, why have I been so down on myself? It's crazy. But yeah, really set those small goals. And then, how were you going about, like, cause you obviously had weight loss before Thrive, right? So Sarah Weber had mentioned that she, doesn't really know how to kind of share, feels like she can't share her weight loss journey with Thrive because she had so much change and transformation prior to. So how do you go about that?
So my weight loss journey actually started with Thrive because I decided to invest in the 3 steps, and I was like, I want to give this a true chance. Like, if I'm going to buy vitamins that are supposed to improve my health, I need to try to improve my health in other ways. And that's why I started kind of implementing small changes in my life. Like, I literally just started walking every day, nothing crazy, and swapping, just trying to eat like more fruits and vegetables. That's how my weight loss journey started. But it did start with Thrive. I would just talk about, for Sarah Weber, I always forget there's more than one Sarah in here. Have you had any sort of improvement since taking Thrive with your health that isn't necessarily associated with weight loss? So like, were you kind of at like a plateau or a halt where you didn't even have the energy to try to continue your weight loss journey, and then Thrive kind of got you over that hump? Or, you don't have to talk in here if you don't want to, but
I'm still kind of like working through that hump, I guess you could say, because like I've been doing it for over 2 years, working out every day consistently, and then like right as I started Thrive, I kind of was in this, I wasn't enjoying working out anymore. Like, I had to make myself do it. It wasn't like so I'm trying to get back into that. Thrive has gave me all the energy and stuff, but it's just I guess I'm bored with the things I'm doing. I don't know. But
I feel that. I didn't like working out until I got a gym membership, which I know isn't possible for everybody. But man, I was like, I'm over these home workouts.
that's me. I've done it for over 2 years. And so I'm like, and I've lost 65 pounds by doing it, but now I'm just kind of, I will say though, with Thrive, like I haven't been weighing myself like I was, but I just feel more like, I don't know, I can just tell I'm not bloated. I'm not like, you know what I mean? I don't have
Definitely
to-
just like really amp that up. So talk about how it's helped you maintain your weight loss. You can even be honest, say, hey, I lost my weight before I found Thrive, but Thrive has definitely made a difference in helping me maintain and helping me keep this bloat off because, you know, we're not always perfect. I have had so many carbs today, and I'm going to be thinking balance later because it'll help with that. So, I mean, you can just, I would just say, like, even if it's a small way, Thrive has helped you, just really amp that up.
Okay.
Hopefully that helps.
All right. There was one more thing I wanted to add that I always have to remind myself. So I just want to say this before we get off, if nobody else has anything to add, is I've been with Lavelle for almost 5 years now, even though I stopped for 6 months to switch to this team. But one thing I always forget with being in it for so long is like how I felt before Thrive. And I realized like that's something I don't talk about as often. So today I was going through like when I was enrolling like crazy and like what was I talking about? And I was talking about how I felt before I started Thrive, like the reason I started. And so don't forget the reason why you started and to talk about that, how you felt before. Like when I think before Thrive, I'm like, oh my gosh, that was like 5 years ago. That's insane. Actually, yeah, it'll be 5 years ago, like in a couple weeks that I first started the products for like the very first time and was hooked. So I even remember like the unfold I posted. I went and found it today and I was like, this got me like 4 sales just from one unfold in like 2 days. So always go back to like, I want to start sharing that at least once a week because that triggered people that have been following me for 4 years. They watched me do it for 4 years and then ordered. So just remember why you started and how you felt before and share that because that's what
And don't
people
be
need to hear.
afraid to like get on your stories and talk about it. It doesn't always have to be, it's good to like have a post occasionally that talks about your pain point or why you started, but like people, when they are hearing you talk about it, there's emotion behind it. They can see how genuine you are. It's different than reading a post. So like you may have noticed I've not been putting as many pain point posts up, but I'm always in my stories talking about some way that Thrive's helping me. And then I usually, I mean, I hate to admit this, but the most action I get in my DMs is when I post a transformation. So I've been posting a lot more of those. So also pay attention to what do people respond most to? So Sarah, it was like you saying how you felt before you started versus how you feel now. Mine's transformation photos. If yours is like OOTDs or like recipes or anything, if that's when you notice you're having a more of like a heavy flow into your DMs. Like terrible choice of words, but you know what I mean. That pay attention to that, whatever you talked about, and then just try to maybe incorporate that a little bit more.
Yes, that's what I was trying to get at is just however you want to talk about it, post about it, make a reel, do talking videos, go live, whatever, mix it up, do one of those versions different every week, post 1 week, live the next, talking stories with it all of it. But yeah, I saw that today and that was just something that really helped me. And when you mentioned your recipe swaps and like ingredient swaps or whatever, I was literally at the grocery store, which I don't go into the store very often, but I was getting stuff for pizza and I saw the Rayos or whatever brand. And I was like, Krystal, I saw it. And I was like, Krystal, like, like, I love that about like, I love your recipes and stuff. So just so you know, I was in Walmart and I thought about you just because I saw your swap. But I'm going to give it a few seconds. Does anybody have anything else to add before we get off? We're actually going to be kicked off in about 5 minutes. No? All right. Well, Krystal, thank you so much. Shelby, are you good? Yeah. Okay, perfect. Krystal, you good? Okay, perfect. All right. Well, thank you all for hopping on. I really appreciate it. Krystal, I really appreciate you pouring into us tonight. I have a fire under me and I'm getting content pictures tomorrow and batching a bunch of reels. And yes, I'm like so ready to do this. Thank you. The recording will be up soon and I hope you all have a great night. Bye.
Good night.